Hey besties and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about things I want for K-pop this year. Some of these are things that I want to bring back or just things I want to see for K-pop in general. Now, let's get started with the video. It could just be my delusional orbitas trying to speak this into existence, but I would truly love to see Loosamba joining arms or at least being in the same company so they can make songs together. I just knew something felt a bit odd with their contract ending after only being a group for a little more than a year, especially after their recent release being really successful, so it feels like they got something bigger planned. I mean, when Odd Eye Circle came back with Air Force One, many people were surprised when Hyejin and Haseul joined, so the Loosamba members joining them wouldn't be much of a stretch. Maybe instead of them forming together in one big group to avoid it trying to be like a Loona without two members, I think bringing back some of the other subunits or forming new ones would be really refreshing and nice to see. As someone who basically grew up around the original New Jack Swing genre such as Boyz II Men and Janet Jackson, it was really cool to see that genre go into K-pop, especially when most of them do a great job at it. I feel like the most recent New Jack Swing inspired sounds I can think of is either NCT's 90s Love or New Jeans Supernatural. It's honestly such an amazing genre with so much energy, passion, and a certain type of funk that feels so lovely. I would absolutely love for this sound to come back the way it was in like 2012 to 2016 K-pop eras such as Bestie, EXID, B2B, and early EXO. If groups or artists are going to bring this back, I need them to fully commit, like 100% or else I don't want it, because you really need to give that genre some justice. I think some artists that would do a great job with this genre would be obviously Red Velvet, Key, or even Rise. Overall, this is one of my favorite sounds and I think if they do it right, it can be such an amazing revival. Okay, so I obviously know that they have done subunit songs multiple times before, but that's mainly been in the BTS albums as a whole. As much as I love those songs, I think it'd be pretty interesting and cool to see an actual promoted subunit of some of the members. Even though they've performed their subunit songs before such as Dimple and all of the Cyphers, I think having a full-on subunit such as what 17 has would be cool, especially since we still have to wait a little longer until they have a group comeback. I think having a subunit like the J-Line or a whole new subunit that's never been done before with them by having music videos and maybe a mini album would not only be different for them, but so cool to see. I know there's a low chance of that happening since aside from solo activities, they usually do stuff all together, which is something I really appreciate from them, but I just feel like this would be something nice to see from them. Before I say anything else, I obviously don't think that only popular or really successful groups should be at the Momo Awards and I'm actually really happy to see other smaller or even new groups performing there. I'm just saying that I want big groups to be at the Momo Awards again, because a lot of them haven't been there in a while and it's just felt a bit empty since. Don't get me wrong, there's amazing groups that still perform there such as itzy, LE SSERAFIM, (G)I-DLE, 17, and some smaller ones as well, but I really miss groups like Twice, Red Velvet, BTS, EXO, and SHINee being there. I mean, Red Velvet hasn't had a mama stage since 2019, like I understood why they weren't there in 2020 because of the Wendy incident and Irene scandal, but girl, come on, y'all been having comeback since then, so why aren't you there? I know that these groups don't define that award show, but I can't be the only one that's noticed how it's been a little boring ever since these groups stopped coming. Like I just missed seeing their huge performances. I'm so very serious when I say that I don't want this to happen, but it needs to happen. Like I just know if Timbaland produces a song for a K-pop group or artist, it will most likely be one of the best things to ever exist. We already know that there's some black producers that have done K-pop songs such as the infamous Damn Joints and Teddy Riley, but Timbaland is such an iconic and legendary producer where pretty every late 90s and early 2000s hits has came from him, especially if it's in the R&B genre. Like this man has done stuff for Aaliyah, Missy Elliott, Beyoncé, Nelly Furtado, and so much more, so you know his skills are out of this world. Even though I think he could do great with a lot of artists, I would personally love to see him producer for artists like Red Velvet, Dean, EXO, or even XG. The only thing is that I need him to do the same type of producing style he did in his prime era, that way we know it'll devour. I mean, just imagine hearing EXO's vocals with his amazing ass beats. Honestly, the more I talk about this, the more I need it. Like, someone please contact him because this needs to come true. Even though we still have groups like GOT7, TXT, and 17, I have not felt the same type of joy or happiness that I felt in years when relay dance videos were actually fun to watch. There's just something about seeing one of those videos where the members are trying to get in line to sync with their parts and everything being perfect that pisses me off on the inside. Like, what happened to the silliness? What happened to being a little goofy and messy? I would think that they would definitely take advantage of these dances, since it's the one time where you can mess up and have fun without having weirdos criticize you or having a lot of pressure. I don't know if some rules are changed, but I don't understand why everything in these videos recently are so rehearsed and perfected. Like, if I wanted to watch that, then I'd go watch their Music Bank or Mnet stages. I remember when they would actually get in line and do whatever dance they remember and actually enjoy themselves. I probably sound old talking about this, but with how a lot of things in K-pop are so tense and stressful for these idols, they should have this type of outlet where they can have fun along with the fans. Personally, I don't believe that every single member of a group should get a solo just because some of their members have, since not everyone is capable of standing out on their own. But Mr. Hae-chan, oh, he needs to have a solo. Of course, I still want him to be in NCT, but he definitely should have an official solo debut like Jaehyun did. He has such amazing voice and good enough stage presence to captivate an audience, so I know that he's more than capable of being a soloist. The 127 members are starting to go into the military, such as Jang-yoon, Taeyong, and Do-young, and soon it'll be Jungwoo, so it'll only be Johnny, Yuta, Mark, and him left until he has to go soon, so I need this like right now. This is also a perfect opportunity since they won't be a full group for a while. I don't know about specifics yet, but all I know is that his solo better not be no sappy ass ballad and no 2010s soft rock. Like, I wanna hear that man sing his ass off like usual in a R&B pop type beat. I know that they technically had a reunion in 2021, but I refuse to call that a reunion because where the fuck was my diva Sarah? Like, I know they couldn't include every single member from debut to their most recent lineup, and this is absolutely not hate to the new girls, but they should have done a reunion similar to what After School did. Like, it's been so long since we've seen the OGs, so I'm gonna need a redo on that reunion right now with my other girlies in it. Also, I need this reunion to have a wild and news performance as well. Obviously, I would understand if Sarah wouldn't wanna do this one, since she basically got ignored with the first one, but if she's open to it, I need her to be in it because it's not gonna be a full reunion without her. It's like an FX reunion without Loona, so this needs to happen with all of the other girlies as well. It's been 6 years. 6 fucking years since Red Velvet has toured in America or an actual world tour, and I'm tired of waiting. I sincerely feel like SM hates those girls, because how do you not recognize how big their international fan base is and that we've been wanting a tour from them for years? Like, there's so many opportunities for them to do a world tour, and when they have their comeback this year, I need it to happen, no more excuses. Also, with this tour, I need them to give us a Red Mare type of tour where they have the campy outfits, perform some of their best B-sides in having absolutely gorgeous sets. Also, they need to perform Underwater and Bubble, but I think we all know that this needs to happen, and this year is the time to. Even though her debut started to grow on me, I feel like we need a comeback from her that shows more from her. I think that Hello perfectly showed her bright loving energy and cute side, but the only part that really stuck with me was the chorus, and that was it, and I just feel like joy and boring music shouldn't go together. I wouldn't really suggest any K-pop soloist to debut with a county concept since not everyone fits it, but I kinda need to see her with that concept. It doesn't need to be something like explicitly sexy, but I would love for her to do something similar Automatic or Underwater in terms of a concept. As for sound, I think something slightly hypnotic and dreamy sound like Face Fantasy would be so fitting for her since it would show her beautiful yet mature vocals at the same time. It's been a few years, so I think we are due for a solo comeback from her with a Kundi concept. I can't be the only one that's tired seeing an amazing concept and the song is so underwhelming and bland. Like I'll see a concept trailer or concept photos where everything looks so artistic and interesting, but then the song comes out and I'm yawning halfway through the song. I mean it's alright if they at least add some of the visual aspects, but then the music video is completely different too. Like girl, what was all that effort for with them concept trailers? I think it's okay to give the teasers a bit of a twist to surprise people, but at least having some match with it. If the concept is giving a fantasy and magical look and the song is just some boring road trip sounding song, it makes absolutely no sense. I don't mind when music videos have a different vibe from the song, but at least have the concept match in some form. Pretty much any hate train for a group is stupid, but this whole itzy flopped and hate has been going on for way too long and I'm more than tired of it. Yes, we get it, they're not at the same place they were when Dalla Dalla and Wannabe came out, we all know that by now, but y'all gotta get over it at some point. Actually y'all should have gotten over it a while ago and I feel like it's preventing people from actually appreciating their recent releases. Like, Sneakers was getting so much hate that their great B-sides were getting overlooked. Even other songs like Cake, Mr. Vampire, Kill Shot, and their recent comeback have been overlooked so much that so many people still think that their songs are good. I mean, to each their own, I don't think you have to like their songs, but you all have been so harsh to them and I truly think that they need a big redemption arc. Now, I do think that their musical diction could improve some more even though they're getting better, but I feel like they're still so young in their career that they could still bounce back. Now I know that I'm not the only one who's tired of her ass, like I'm not here to talk about the whole hype and adore mess because I honestly don't even care about that, Booty just know that I'm tired of her. Constantly seeing her in the press and just making it 10 times worse for both New Jeans and I was so irritating and what pissed me off is how she's a fully grown woman and trying to pit two groups full of teenage girls against each other. I truly hope that she's not around any young artists again and yeah she has a really good creative vision, like thanks for the pink tape I guess, but it doesn't overshadow of how much of a weirdo she is. I've seen way too much of her last year. I just hope that whole issue is done or at least not in our faces every 2 business days. Don't get me wrong, I know there's still groups that have campy or quirky outfits, but I would honestly love to see more out-of-the-box styling. I feel like a lot of groups have been looking more of the same lately when it comes to fashion, like I could see 3 different groups and not be able to tell them apart by clothes alone. I remember when there used to be full eras of a K-pop comeback with styling being a big part of it. For example, Red Velvet's Dum Dum, Orange Caramel's Getona, Twice's Fancy and more are so distinctive while also being fun with so much identity. I know that there's also been pieces of clothing that would be commonly used such as the iconic donut hoodie and that denim belt dress, but I feel like there's more styling eras recently that feel so repetitive and even boring. I would truly love to see these stylists experimenting more and having more identity for a group's comeback or era. This one has been an issue for a while, but I really need it to come to a close. Obviously I know that there's still some groups that sing live and that lip syncing has been around since the 2000s, but I truly yearn for fully live vocals. Like I don't give a fuck if they sound a bit out of breath as long as they're putting the effort in. I'm just tired of these performances being 100% lip sync, like I wanna hear them raw vocals and please make them mics louder, because when these idols do sing live on music shows the mics aren't ever loud enough. Also, my thing is that if these songs are too hard to sing live, then these companies need to stop giving it to them when you know damn well they gotta perform it live at some point. I just need to hear more fully live performances, especially from the ones that can really sing. Not every album is like this, but I think that there needs to be a change up with how some of the albums are organized. In other words, I think that some of these albums have a predictable setup with the title track, a couple soft B-sides and a ballad. Even though ballads aren't my favorite genre, I like a good amount of them, and I think depending on the concept, it could make a really good album, but there's times where it doesn't really need a ballad in every single album. Like, there could be a very experimental and upbeat album and then there's a ballad that just throws it off. This is the same way I feel about trap verses in K-pop songs. A lot of them are good, but it doesn't need to be in every single song, especially when it doesn't fit. I just would personally like to see some different or more creative album formulas that gives it a more interesting listen and throws off the predictability. Listen, I know that ever since K-pop has started that there's been tons of groups debut all the time, but recently, it feels like there's been a new group every single week. It's honestly to a point to where I don't even want to catch up and only pay attention to a couple that might stick out to me. I mean, I never really cared to know about every new group in the first place, but especially now. It just feels like there's so much oversaturation to where these groups are just going under the radar and ends up disbanding without a couple months. I know that there's hundreds of trainees in multiple companies waiting to debut, but I'm tired of these companies rushing these debuts and just putting them out there for the sake of participating the competition of all these other groups. I want these groups to take their time and make sure that they're ready instead of debuting just to debut. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of great rookie groups like Kiss of Life and Zero Base One, and I'm happy that they're making music, but I just think it'd be less overwhelming and authentic if there wasn't like 20 groups debut every month. And that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you'd want, and have a good day. Bye besties.